Here to present the Harrison Ford Aviation Legacy Award is a pilot, Harrison Ford.
I am honored to be here in front of this distinguished group to present this awkwardly named award. The broad criteria created for the presentation of this award is that the recipient must have made the world a better place through aviation. Well, Richard Sugden, Dr. Richard Sugden, has met and exceeded the requirements for this rating. I met Rich and his wife Sue, who's here tonight with him, some 20 years ago when I first came to Jackson, Wyoming and made a home there. A long-time resident of Jackson and a practicing physician there. He was first my doctor and then my friend, became my FAA designated medical examiner when I began to fly. He is a former Navy flight surgeon who left the military but maintains a enviable fleet of well-maintained warbirds, which he flies often in demonstrations and air shows and in legacy flights to celebrate military aviation history and what it has brought to this country. He introduced me to the Young Eagles program, and years later, when I was asked to become its honorary chairman and an office previously held by our friend Cliff Robertson and General Chuck Yeager, he talked me into stepping forward. It was a daunting step for me. He has served aviation and the world in many ways. He flies his Stoli equipped Bell 47 in support of the Teton County Search and Rescue. He flies wounded veterans, wounded warriors, forgive me, and their families to receive medical care. He's provided aircraft and flight training to the Kenyan Wildlife Service to aid in their enforcement of wildlife regulations. And he's, much to my pleasure, has led yearly excursions into the Idaho backcountry wilderness in backcountry safaris that I've had the pleasure of being a part of. He is on the board of the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, the Naval Aviation Museum, the X Prize Foundation, and in these and many other ways, he has served the aviation community as example, as mentor, as prod, and he has made the world a better place through aviation. We have a little video.
Well, I delivered a couple of thousand babies. That was pretty special. I had a general family medicine practice, and most of my early practice was in OBGYN, and delivered a lot of babies, really enjoyed it. And then as far as flying goes, your solo, that was always fabulous. The flying I got a chance to do in the Navy, flying on and off of carriers, in the back seat, not flying as pilot in command, but flying in the back of F4s. I've got a lot of carrier landings, catapult takeoffs. Raced at Reno in the jet class, and told my wife that I wanted to race once. I raced once, I won, and I retired.
Rich can be seen at air shows around the country flying his FJ-4B Fury with the MiG Fury demo team, and is one of the founding civilian pilots in the Navy Legacy flight. Tonight's Legacy of Aviation Award recipient shares his talent and love of aviation with many. He is a volunteer pilot for the Veterans Airlift Command. Rich and his FBO, Teton Aviation, have to date given over 2,000 young Eagles their first flight. Rich has also made 2 trips to Africa to help train native pilots in the battle against poachers.
We went over to Kenya with the Kenya Wildlife Service, and Patty Wagstaff had been doing that for several years, and I've been flying Huskies in the Idaho backcountry quite a bit, and the Kenya Wildlife Service had Huskies, and she flies a Super Cub a lot, and she asked me if I wanted to go along and help her train the Kenya Wildlife Service pilots. They've got about 15 pilots and about 10 airplanes, and they use them for wildlife patrol and catching poachers, which is a big problem in Kenya. The poachers devastated the rhino and elephant population, and these poachers would come in from Somalia with a bow and arrow and walk for 2 months and shoot an elephant with a poison arrow and bring the elephant down, cut off the tusks, put them on their back, and walk for 2 months back to Somalia and make more money than they would otherwise in a lifetime. Medicine and aviation are very similar. You can never know everything about either. There's always more to learn, which makes it a challenge. I mean, it's never ho-hum. There's always something else you can do.
Thanks, Harrison. I really am flattered by the recognition, especially in this fabulous group of aviators. My glasses are stuck in my pocket. My nurse, shortly after I heard from Harrison I was going to get this award, gave me a bumper sticker, and I was going to have it tonight so I could stick it on the front here. And the bumper sticker said, "Please don't tell my mom I'm a pilot. I play piano in a house of ill repute," or something like that. And I found that on my car out in front just so this wouldn't go to my head. Probably the most important thing in helping me do what I have done in aviation is my wife. And Barry, I don't know, she must not have gone to the same school your wife did, because she flew with me for the very first time when she was 15. And lest you think I robbed the cradle, I was only 17. And that was over 50 years ago. And we still fly together, and we fly everywhere together. Probably the most important thing that we can do in aviation, I think, has been reflected by most of the speakers tonight, and that was to encourage kids to pursue something in aviation, introduce kids to aviation. The Young Eagle program is fabulous. And also getting kids interested in going to some of the aviation-related activities like the Experimental Aircraft Association camp in Oshkosh, the National Flight Academy that the Naval Aviation Museum puts on in Pensacola, which is incredible. It's an aircraft carrier, literally an aircraft carrier that kids spend a week on. Scholarships, we have a scholarship program at our FBO, and people donate to it, and we train 2 young Eagles up through their private pilot's license every year. And that's rewarding enough, but some of these kids are now flying for the Air Force, for the Navy, and pursuing professional careers in aviation. And one of my best friends, and Harrison's best friend, got killed last year, and we asked people to contribute to a scholarship in his name, and now we have enough money in that scholarship to fund training 1 pilot every year forever up through private pilot. assuming we can keep these planes flying. And just a quick story. I hadn't seen the video before, but most of my practice was at OBGYN the first 25 years. And I delivered a young lady who was the wife of a commercial artist in Driggs, which is where we have our FBO. His name was Gizmo Getzloff, and he was about this tall, and he had a big handlebar mustache. He was a real character. And his daughter's name was Heidi, and I flew her, I think, on a Young Eagles flight when she was about 10 years old. And then they moved, they left, never saw them again. And I was out flying Young Eagles about 5 years ago in a Husky. And around the corner of the hangar comes Gizmo with this striking blonde he's like 5'4", and she's about 5'8". And he walks up and introduces her and said, "I just want you to meet Heidi, who you haven't seen in quite a while. She just graduated from the Naval Academy and has been accepted in naval aviation." My dad was a career naval officer, and I was fortunate enough to be a Navy flight surgeon, so I pushed the Navy a lot. But it was incredible. Here's this little girl that we'd flown as a Young Eagle, and she got so impressed with that one flight and what she'd seen after that going through the Naval Academy, she decided she wanted to be a naval aviator, and she did it. I think we need to help Harrison with his campaign to keep general aviation alive. If you look at what's happening with the economy and everything else, it's going to take a lot of effort to keep aviation free. And the motto of the Legends of Aviation is "Fly free on freedom's wings," and I think we should strive to do that and keep that uppermost in our mind. Aviation is a wonderful vocation and avocation. I just want to thank everybody for the recognition, which is largely undeserved, compared to the likes of Forrest Bird, the Rutans, Patty Wagstaff, who I really enjoyed flying with in Kenya, the astronauts, everybody. I mean, it's an amazing group of people, and I certainly appreciate the recognition. Oh, and I won't give Harrison a second opinion next time he comes in.